I'd like to welcome everybody to HBCU Coaches Corner. We do it here every Tuesday night along with my co-host, Mr. Campbell, and myself, Rocky Miller. Coach Cole will be here soon. But in the meantime and in between time, we're gonna get this started because we have a very big interview tonight. We have another HBCU head coach. You know, Steve, we get the heavy hitters on here, Steve. You know that that's what we do. And we really, to be honest with you, look at our record. We really put championship coaches on. That's what we do. We've had T.C. Taylor. We've had Tremaine Jackson. We've had Trey Oliver. You know, Tennis Berry. We had all these guys on the show, and at the end of the day, we have a championship coach that is our featured host of the HBCU Coaches Corner, Johnnie Cole, who is also a championship coach. But with no further ado, I'll step aside. You already done tipped them off on who we got coming. I'll step aside and let you do the introduction, Mr. Campbell, because you will have a acquaintance with this man, with this coach that we have coming up, probably before he was actually a coach. So go ahead and you can do the introduction, Mr. Campbell.
You know, I'm super excited because, as they say, there's a small world. So I am proud to introduce University of Texas alum, freshman All-American, all Southwest Conference defensive back, NFL player for the Detroit Lions, Arizona Conference, and now has come over to the best side, the HBCU side, the new head coach of Hampton University, the Van Malone, my guy. He didn't know he was my guy until I told him the name that we do.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Mr. Campbell is that dude, right?
Coach, listen, when I saw, and again, you know, we're all around the same age and stuff like that, and grew up during the same time and things like that. And when I see people from our generation, that good Gen X generation and everything, yes, to come in and do what you did. Like I said, I saw you when you played in college. You was outstanding, the defensive back, a leader of the team. You went on, played in the NFL. You went to have and coached at various locations. And to see now to come and to rebuild those Hampton Power who have a storied football past. And for you to bring, again, your knowledge and your swag, as they say, from Texas to come up there to Virginia, man, I'm super excited again. And I have to tell people just a quick story. A lot of people know in my previous life, Coach, I used to throw big parties and things like that. So me and Coach have a mutual friend that had a nickname called Rock Nasty, a Q-Dog down at University of Texas. And Coach Malone we had the respectable parties, you know, Rocky, the all-star party, you know, where the celebrities would come, the coaches would come, big VIP. So whenever we would have some, Rock would say, now, we don't know if Van was coming or not. He said, just go put Van name on there just to have enough celeb on there. So we will always be able to use. Now, Van came through the door. He may not get, but he came, we always had him take care of. But the one thing, man, just to see how things, again, that was 30 plus years ago, to see, you know, we were young men now, and now to be at this stage, man, Coach, I'm super excited to have you on the HBCU Coaches Corner. We're going to ask you a lot of great questions. We're going to promote your program, and we know you're going to be successful. So, you know, I'm just glad I was able to introduce you and just to show you how small the world is.
Man, I'll tell you what, I just got to say one thing about those parties. There were quite a few of them, and yes, my name was on all of the flyers, but I have an admission to make. I was at every last one of them. I was at every last one of them, right? And my classes probably reflected that earlier in my career. But I'm excited to be here as well, guys. Man, it's a great honor. Anytime I can have an opportunity to be in an audience with you guys, man, it's big time. And like Rock, you and I were talking about earlier, man, to have the opportunity to be here at Hampton, but have the opportunity to share with you guys, man, because as you were talking in your intro, you've had some heavy hitters on this show, right? And man, it's quite a tough act to follow, right? Many people don't know, and I always like to say it, He has another part that I'll share as well that he likes to say nowadays. But I coached Tremaine Jackson in high school. And and so
oh man.
Wow.
yes. And so man, Tremaine has been a part of my life before he or I knew what this was all about. And so to watch him grow and to watch him do the things that he's doing, I've been proud for many years. But nowadays, as a new head coach, he says this part. Man, I'm like a rookie. I'm calling that dude every day. Hey, Tremaine, what do you do right here? Hey, what would you do if you had this situation? And fortunately, man, he's had a good career, and he has a lot of experience as a head coach. So I'm learning as much as I can from him every day.
Now, Coach, wait a minute. I want to say something real quick. Don't let them trick you into scheduling that game until you get locked and loaded. When you get locked and loaded, and then you make him come to Virginia first. When you locked and loaded.
We already talked about that. We locking and loading it right now. And he knows he don't have to travel his way. Right? You're not getting me in the swamp, right? In neither of the swamps. You don't have to come to Virginia before we do all that.
Hey, Coach. It's interesting for those people who don't know your history or whatever. First off, I'm proud to say that you're a Texan, Coach, and that anytime that a Texan can come on this show and represent himself, they always do such a great job. From whether it be you yourself, Tremaine Jackson, Coach, and because football, how important football is in this area. I don't care if it's Waco, Texas. I don't care if it's El Paso, Texas. I don't care if it's Austin, Texas, or Odessa. You know how football is a religion here in Texas. And growing up here, you understand what it means. And coaching under any level of pressure probably is going to be minuscule compared to what you've been exposed to already. Understanding how important it is here in Texas. But I want to ask you this here, Coach, because this is an obvious question. You've been in coaching over 20 years. Most of the time, even though you coached Tremaine Jackson, you coached him in high school.
Right.
Coach, you spent a lot of time on the other side of the tracks.
Right. And
for that reason, to come over on this side of the tracks, there's a difference, Coach. And let's be honest, not many guys come from over that side of the tracks and come over here and coach. For an obvious reason to me is the economics behind it. Coach, why Hampton? Why now? Why at a HBCU?
Well, for me, man, and you're exactly right. The economics are quite different. But at some point in your life, you have to make a decision as to what is your driving force. You know what I mean? Like we talked about. Everybody likes to eat, right? And my kids, my family, they definitely like to eat, right? They like to eat the finest of the steaks. But again, at some point, you have to make a decision. At some point, I had to gather my people up, my troops, my family up, and we had to have a discussion about what we want to get out of this coaching life that we all are, from my wife to my kids, that we all have sacrificed for. And we all agreed that it was time, man, for us to do what we're purposed to do. And for many years, I've built programs. I've been an integral part of building programs, what you said, on the other side of the tracks. And man, unbelievable experiences doing just that. But at some point for me, it was just important that I take an opportunity, finances, stadium sizes, none of that into account, that I just wanted to come to a place, and I didn't know it would be Hampton at that moment, but I wanted to come to a place where I could build a program for people, with people who look like me and who have the same background and experiences that I do. And that's not discounting anything that I've done in the past, but it just comes a point where you know what, man, you go on vacation, right? You go to Hawaii, you go to Cabo, you go to for you guys, you go to the DR, right? But at some point, man, you got to come home, right? At some point, you got to come home, and coming here, that's really what it felt like to me. And so there's no other explanation that I have. Is that, man, it's just at this point in my life, this was my purpose, and I'm as well as my family couldn't be more excited that it happened for me here at Hampton University.
Coach, let me just make one statement, Rocky. I just want to make a statement. I'm gonna let you keep going because he said something.
No, go ahead. I think it's a great point for the HBCU historian to step in here and make this put this in its proper context.
Well, I just want to say to Coach Malone, listen, and I know you get a lot of love down there in the University of Texas for what you've done. You are alumnus, like I said, you did it on and off the field, and I know you represented. But I'm gonna tell you something. At that school that you're at, the love that they're going to give you and your family, it is going to be totally different. And when you walk around that town and they say coach, and you hear that old lady say, "Coach, what you need?" it just rang different. Because guess what, Coach? She's not going to work at the university. She has graduated from the university, class of 1950, class of 44, class of 60. And they take a lot of pride in that. And they're going to support you with money and time and love. So I can't wait, because again, when you see coaches that have come out, and again, like we have Charlie Ward, again, Heisman Trophy winner. Now his family went to FAM, but he played at Florida State. He has seen the difference of Florida State love compared to that FAMU love. And I guarantee you're going to see the exact same thing.
I appreciate that. And I've seen it already. And I agree with you. That is just that. And this Hampton fan base is a passionate group. And guess what, man? I operate with a lot of passion. And so I think we're a match made in Hampton.
I got you, Coach. I see that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Coach, you were the assistant head coach at a Power 5 program, right? And now you're coaching at the FCS level. Sorry, Coach. Coach, what are some of the similarities and what are some of the difference? I know you're the head coach now, but I'm just talking about how the programs function, what's available to you. What did you learn at K-State and other places that you can really apply at Hampton, and what are some things that you were surprised to find when you got on campus?
Well, for me, you know, the experience of being the assistant head coach at Kansas State, it allowed me the opportunity to work alongside Chris Kleiman, who this dude's won 7 national championships, right? And so to work alongside him, to see how practices are best structured, right? To be able to develop the whole of your team, because a lot of teams, they go to practice and they're going to develop the starters, right? And they're going to develop the guys who back up behind them. But that lower portion of your roster, those freshmen, sometimes what happens with them is they get put to the back burner until it's their turn. Well, you need to be developed. What the philosophy is that you need to be developing your whole team at all time, because you just never know when, especially in this new landscape of the portal. All of a sudden, your 2 top players leave, where you're down to 3 and 4 right now. And so you have to do a great job of developing your whole roster. And that's something that I really locked in on here in the last few years with Chris Kleiman. The years before that, working with guys like Mike Gundy, Dennis Franchione, Mike Sherman, right? I learned some of the staff operations, the fact that you have to be clear as the leader, that you have to be clear in your communications, that the expectations, they have to be set, and you have to have a leader has to have a willingness to have tough conversations, right? And I, because I am more seasoned than some of the people who are on my staff, man, I have conversations. I'm not the head coach who is going to disrespect another coach. There are head coaches out there that do that, but I always speak in clear terms, right? And I always have an understanding, and our staff has an understanding that I'm going to do everything I can to develop you as a coach, right? So So when you do things that are out of line with you as a young coach, they for sure they're going to be out of line with our staff and my expectations. But I'm talking to you more as an older coach to a younger coach. So sometimes sometimes I might dig in you a little bit, right? But it's not because I'm the head coach and I'm dominating and I'm domineering and I'm taking advantage of my authority. No, I'm talking to you as an older coach who is trying to develop a younger coach. The same way I will speak to our players, because it's always out of love and it's always out of development. So that's another thing that I learned from these coaches. Really, the thing that I was surprised about, quite honestly, is kind of what you alluded to, is that I didn't understand the level of passion. You know what? Yeah, you can have 100,000 seat stadium, but your fans can be just as passionate when you have a stadium that's not that big, right? And it can be just as important to them. And so therefore, for me coming here, man, the pressure is the same. I told our athletic director once in jest, like we were talking about the national championship, the FCS national championship. And I said, let me tell you something, man. There's no level of pressure that anybody can put on me that I don't put on myself for the expectation that I have of our program attaining that level. I didn't come here to patch things up. I didn't come here to just ride it out. I came here to build something special. And any player, any staff member, anybody who has any touch with our program, they feel that. I want them to feel that, because that's real for me. Right? Because that's how I coached. That's how I can rewind. That's how I played. That's how I coach as an assistant coach. And that's who I am as a head coach. I believe your players, they put the jersey on that you wear, that you give them, right? They're going to be whoever you train them to be. That's the same thing with your staff. And I even take it as far as say it's the same thing with your fan base, right? This is the way we're going to do it at Hampton for the rest of my Hampton life.
Oh, man. Hey, Coach, you interested. You mentioned something early on in that last comment, is that you coached under Chris Kleiman as his assistant head coach. Chris Kleiman has a very, I'll say, unique history coaching at this level. Have you tapped into him as a resource to kind of, because I'm not sure, but I think as a head coach, he's won 4 national championships at the FCS level.
Right.
Were you able to tap into his secret sauce of whatever that is that allowed him to be as successful as he was at the same level you're coaching now?
And we've throughout my time with Coach Kleiman, we always had discussions about what it takes to win. And like I said, with the development of your roster is important. And so those are little secret sauces. Nobody ever gives all the ingredients. You know what I mean? Nobody ever gives all the ingredients to the spaghetti, right? And so therefore, when you're in those positions, you have to take great notes. And when you're in those positions, you have to make sure that you are paying attention to the little things. You are paying attention to those things that he does not say, but you watch what he does. I remember many times, and I have I'm a little bit fiery in my personality, and to sit alongside Coach Kleiman and to see the way he handled issues with poise, with control, and I'm going to even use the term grace. So I don't have a lot of grace. You know what I'm saying? I got very little poise, and I got a little bit of control, but sometimes my control lever breaks, right? And so, but he's still working on me, right? And so, yes, I did always tap in to be able to get some of those secrets. But like I said, most of it, man, was the way he dealt with, the way he handled the people in the building, the way he handled the players, which I think, I believe that the relationship piece, especially in this new landscape, it goes like relationships are much more powerful than money. We might try to say that it's not, right? Because this is the landscape, and money is very important. but relationships and purpose, as I've exemplified, relationships and purpose, they can go further than money, right? Because what I train these players to understand, I heard it on a video once, that if you're him, they're going to find you wherever you are, right? If you're him, you don't need to go put on a certain jersey in a certain conference in a certain school. If you dominate, you're going to dominate wherever they allow you to step onto the field. And so what we want to try to do is develop you to be dominant and respect your decisions, however they might be, if it comes to situations where you might choose to leave. But we're going to develop you where you are, help you be the best that you can be, and understand that, you know what, for some people, finances are very important, right? We're gonna lean in on those people who understand purpose, right? And understand being developed and understand having a relationship with you that transcends any immediate fortune that you might be able to experience.
Coach, like I said, you coached under Chris Kleiman. This is your first coaching job at Hampton. Can you talk about the men that you ultimately selected to take this journey with you as a part of your staff? Can you tell us about those guys and kind of, explain your relationships with those guys, if at all possible?
Well, as a group, man, I'm unbelievably proud of the group that I put together, because they're a group of guys who have a lot of fun, right? Up and down the halls. It's kind of funny. When I became a head coach, nobody wants to go out with me anymore. Like, I was the life of the party, as Mr. Campbell has already said. But when you become a head coach, nobody invites you to the cigar lounge, right? You call them and they get quiet, but they're at the cigar lounge, right? And but I will talk about this staff, right? One of the guys that I hired on the staff as our strength coach, Dr. Lavelle Williams, he and I, we played high school football together. This guy has a PhD in making people strong, right? He's a doctor, and he's worked with the military, right? He's trained special forces units. He's worked in the HBCU ranks at Alcorn State, at Jackson State. He also coached at Northern Colorado, coached at Texas Tech. But I've had a long-standing relationship with him. Another guy who is our defensive coordinator, Clay Jennings. Clay Jennings was a GA, I believe, when we first met. And so we've been bouncing around each other from the recruiting trail to coaching clinics to having our own private coaching clinics over the years. And so I had always have had great respect for Clay. And when I've had the opportunity to interview for other jobs, kind of like this one and other places around the country, I've spoken to Clay about the possibility of us connecting in this way, and that just hadn't worked out. And so I'm very excited, man, to have the opportunity to work with him, to have him be our defensive coordinator here at Hampton. On the offensive side of the ball, DJ Bolden, who came here from South Carolina State and playing in the Celebration Bowl, coaching in the Celebration Bowl. I met DJ some years ago, and man, I was just really impressed with this young coach who was a good ball coach, right? Who had a great personality, but who was a man of faith, right? And who believed as well in developing players. And so I just started to watch that dude and just couldn't be more impressed with who he is as a leader of men. Both of these guys, leaders of men within their position rooms. And then I could go on and on, but one more guy that I'll talk about. I like to talk about them all, honestly, but one more guy I'd like to talk about, and it's a message really to young coaches, because I met Kenny Ray, man, about 15, 20 years ago. I met Kenny Ray at a head coach's training academy, right? We both were in these academies, and I met him, and he happened to be in the group with me. And I was really impressed with him. I was a young coach who didn't know a damn thing, just like he didn't. But I was really impressed with him. And Kenny and I went out to dinner, hung out, went on vacation together over the years, 0 times. But I watched his teams. I watched his offensive line. I watched the people that he coached. And man, when this opportunity came up, I knew that Kenny Ray was my offensive line coach, right? Because of in that group setting, who he was as a man, with what I've watched over the years and seeing his players and seeing how they develop, watch videos, seeing him clinic, right? And I couldn't be more happy to have him on our staff. He had an opportunity to talk to the team today about the physical attitude that you must have up front, defensive and offensive lines, to be successful as a team, and him talking about the fact that it starts up front.
Hey, Coach, we're going to take a quick moment to introduce our championship head coach.
Yeah.
The guy who inspired HBCU Coaches Corner, none other than TSU and SWAC legend himself, Johnnie Cole. Now, Coach, y'all gonna have to fight over this one, Coach. Now, all this time, Coach Cole, you've been taking credit for Tremaine Jackson and his success, only to find out that I found the real guy who's responsible for all the success that Coach Jackson has had, which is Coach Malone. Coach, how can you tell Coach Jackson's story without giving the man his credit, Coach Cole?
Well, first I'm gonna say what you just said is true. The man you watching raised him as a youngster, and kind of watched him. My more take on the thing was, the head coaching aspect of it. Coach had taught him that he wanted to get in this game, and pretty sure directed him the way he was supposed to go. And then the baton was passed on to me as well. So, my thing was, I was more hands-on. He was more of the mentor father figure, and I was more the mentor as a head coaching aspect to him. So without a doubt, I take my bow to this man, and we've been around a long time, Coach, a long time. And it was just good to get you on the show. And one of the things that and I want to apologize. I just moved in the house yesterday. So I'm in between moving and all that kind of stuff. So I want to apologize.
Hey, coaches move, baby.
Yeah. You know how it is to move. But, Coach, I know you were talking about your staff and basically talking about Black coaches. And I know, man, you started way back in the 80s and when they used to have the list of 20 and then they had the Black Coaches Association. And now I think it's named something else. And at one time you was the president, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. How was that coming? And I'll ask a couple questions about it. How's it coming? Is it still strong? Are we still putting things together? Or where's it at this present time?
So what you talk about the BCA, and we used to have the BCA meetings at the AFCA. Well, then all of a sudden, man, we didn't have a BCA meeting. And being on the AFCA board, a lot of minority coaches would come to me and say, Coach, where's our thing? Where's that thing? Where is the thing we used to have? And I said, man, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because you know what? I was not in a situation, honestly, in my young mind where I understood the importance of our thing, right? Where I didn't realize that we need our thing, right? As minority coaches, we need our thing. And man, when those coaches began to come to me, it made me realize I need to go into this board meeting and I need to say, whoa, listen, we don't have the Black Coaches Association anymore, but we need to have I need to put on this forum. And so what we started to do is put on it used to be called the Minority Issues Forum. But then I said, you know what? You say minority issues, That's a very negative connotation. Issues. Guess what? There are issues, right? But I want to change the connotation, because what I want to do is I want to make sure guys like Van Malone, guys who are on the other side of the tracks, guys who are working at the PWIs, that they feel free. Because sometimes you kind of feel a little scared to be in those places where there's issues. Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to shake up things over here. Okay, how about this? We're going to change it, because guess what we want to do? We want to advance minority coaches. So we changed it from the minority issues to the minority advancement forum, right? And so it gave what I hope, it gave an opportunity for those coaches who might be a little bit hesitant to walk into that room. Come on in here, man, because you do want to advance, don't you? And that's what we want to do, is we want to fight for advancement. And so, man, listen, what happens at this point, Coach Cole, is that I just get a bigger voice, right? Because one thing, and it even has something to do with me taking this opportunity, is that, man, we can chase the opportunity to be patted on the head, or we can go, and Tremaine said this to me years ago. He said, Coach, you want to be a head coach? Go be a head coach. Go be a head coach where you can be a head coach. Don't wait for this place till they call you to be a head coach. You're a head coach. Go be a head coach, right? And so this is an opportunity to be a head coach at a program. You know what? It might not be some of these others. I'm not even going to name them, right? From a standpoint of the size of the stadium, or from the standpoint of maybe their resources. But I'm going to tell you something. The passion that we have here at Hampton, the feeling that you have, and I hadn't even been out for a game yet. I hadn't even walked out of the stadium, out of the tunnel for a game yet. But the passion that my president walked out there with today, the passion that my AD walks around with, the pride that they have in Hampton University. Hey, man, I love that we have that here, you know. And so I'm excited that my mentee mentored his coach and told me the way to go do it. And so, Coach Cole, yeah, I had him when he was young, but I'm gonna tell you something. I had him out there doing defensive back drills as a D lineman, right? And so I abused him more than I mentored him. And so when I handed him off to you, man, he was right for everything that you gave him. And again, some of the things you gave him as a head coach, he gives to me. So I thank you for that.
Yeah. You know, Vance, you've been to some great programs, PWIs and all over the place. And you've been assistant coach, coordinator, you've been on the well, we let's just say tonight the other side, PWI schools.
Right.
And anytime, and that was, LC. Of course, my brother, he was, 13 other PWI schools, man. And he just could never get that coordinator ready to be a head coach. And
Right.
just like Tremaine said to you, I said to him, man, LC, they ain't gonna give you no job, man. You got to go to the HBCUs. So I asked you, why now? Is it had you tried before? Just why now?
Well, I'll be honest, and Rock and I talked about this earlier, is that, man, in your life, you better admit to something. To one thing you better admit to is that you don't have control. Like, your job is to pedal the bike, right? Your job is to pedal the bike, and God is steering the bike, right? And so for me, very honestly, I had a day, man, last summer, and I just had a thought that, it's time, man, for you to go and it's time for you to go be a head coach. You are ready to be a head coach. It's time for you to go be a head coach. No more discussion. Well, I just want to get ready. Well, I just need to get this. I need to learn about budgeting just a little bit more, right? Yeah, I know football. But I just need to learn this one thing. You keep telling yourself that, right? But that thought came to me and said, you're ready to be a head coach. Go be a head coach. Yeah. And then I had a discussion with my wife, and during that discussion, I said to her, I said, now here's what you need to understand. We're going to have to go to a place, not as we're stepping down, but we're going to have to go to a place that might not be what is in your dreams. You know what I mean? The place where they got the biggest stadium and they're going to play on worldwide television every single game. You may have to go to a place where you're going to have to build it, right? And I said, okay, well, we agreed. Okay, we want to be a head coach, so we're going to go be a head coach. And then, man, when this opportunity came up, it didn't matter, right? Because when this opportunity came up, Hampton, man, again, I'm not going to say the names, but Hampton is just as, what? Hampton is that school, right? Yeah, they might have some more resources, but Hampton is that. You know what? At some point, Hampton going to beat the hell out of that school. You know what I mean? And so, man, I went to the Hampton versus Howard basketball game. And I sat there watching our Hampton basketball teams, men and women, play. And man, I almost had tears in my eyes because, again, like Rock and I were talking about, at some point, man, from your vacation, you come home and you get back to your bed and your house and you eat your food. And it just felt like home, man. And so we are, my family, these coaches, we are as excited as we can be to be home.
Coach, I want to build, Coach. I want to build off of something, and because you just rung something into me, and there's a saying, never let perfect be the enemy of good. So I'm glad that you didn't do that, because there's nothing perfect in life. So the fact that you were waiting for this perfect, you didn't let it be for good, which you turned to great. But I want to ask, because the Hampton job, it's not a small job. That is a well-known school, a well-financed school that has won championships in the MEAC, now they're in the CAA. And your AD Henderson, played at Hampton. Your AD won conference championships at Hampton. What was it when you applied? What did you tell AD Henderson? Say, I'm your guy. I'm the guy to bring this back to the championship level when you even play. Because again, as somebody who played on that field, he knows what it's supposed to look like. What was it? Because I know several people who applied for that job. And when you got it, I was excited, but B, somewhat surprised, because I knew it was had applied. So what was it that you felt in your mind, as you said, when you went and did that interview, that this was why this man hired me?
Well, damn, it sounds like you were in the interview, because that's what I said. I said, hey, man, I'm going to tell you what your team needs. This is what they need. Nah. But guess what? I believe that God works on the hearts and the minds of men, right? You can say whatever you want to say. I could have had a whole lot of people call AD Henderson. I'm talking about big hitters, power brokers in college football, right? In all levels of athletics. But I didn't do any of that, because what was important to me is that I got the job that I was supposed to have. And I believe that I am supposed to have this job. I believe this job is the job. This is my purpose. This is my purpose right now. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't my purpose 5 years ago. It wasn't where I was supposed to be 5 years ago. It wasn't where I was supposed to be 10 years ago, 2 years ago. But this is where I'm supposed to be right now. And again, yep, AD Henderson played, and he's a championship player. He played defensive back. What I'm going to do at some point is I'm going to shave him and put him out there and see if he still has some of that, right? Some of that stuff that right? Some of those things that he's talking, man, I tell you what, I used to, hey, baby, guess what? Matter of fact, we had our first day of spring practice today, and he was out there, and I said, hey, man, you probably need to go get tape, because one of my safeties just went down, right? But at some point, we're going to put a helmet and some shoulder pads on him and put him in a drill. Right, and let's see all that talk. Let's see if you still got it.
Yeah. Dad, Coach, you sounded like a HBCU coach.
Hey, man, let me tell you something. Hey, so here's one thing that we do with AFCA. and I've done it for many years, is that we honor what they call the Trailblazer, right? The Trailblazer Award. And it's an award that the AFC, not many people know about it, right? But they give this award to trailblazers, coaches who have coached in the HBCU ranks in other eras before us, right? And man, in researching these people over the years, man, there have been some elite level coaches who have coached in the HBCU ranks. So you say I'm sounding like one of them, I would be no more proud than to be sounding like one of those guys. Because a lot of times in life, man, it's all about what you read well, I don't sell newspapers anymore. It's all about what you read on social media, right? It's about the narrative, right? The narrative. Our life a lot of times is controlled by narratives. We on the HBCU ranks, we say we ain't got, man, we got a lot, right? Yeah. We got to figure out how to resource it. They say, well, we not like them. Man, guess what? We better than them, right? And so we just got to turn, and guess what? Because it's being fed to us every day, we can't help but eat it, right? We can't help but eat. We can't help things that make us believe one thing is better than another thing, right? One conference is better than another conference, right? And so we just got to watch how we frame our minds. And as we communicate to these young players, we're training them to believe that they can compete, that they can operate on any level with anybody. As long as you're working as hard as they are, you give yourself a chance to compete with anybody, right? Now they may run a 4.4 and you run a 4.7, right? I don't believe in fantasies, right? But when some parts of the game are about physicality, some parts of the game are about technique, some parts of the game, at some moments of the game, it's about your willingness to quit or not quit. And the same with the man across from you. And so we want to train our guys to get the best we can out of themselves, and have them give the best that they can of themselves every single play of the game. Man, y'all got me. Listen, we're gonna start practice at 6 a.m.
Hey, Coach, let me ask Coach a question, because you from Houston, right, Coach?
No doubt. Fifth Ward, baby.
See, I was gonna say, you don't sound like a Fort Bend guy. You don't sound like a A-Leaf guy. You don't sound like anybody around. You don't sound like Humble or Spring, Coach. You sound like Yates, Wheatley,
Trip.
Here. Where you from, Coach?
So here's what you need to understand. When you're me, right? When you're me, you've lived in all those places, right? And so, man, I grew up, we didn't have a whole lot, right? And so you might roll up and be evicted from your home and have to be in A-Leaf for a few months. And then you may have to be in Sunnyside for a few weeks, right? And then you might have to be in Katy for a day or two, right? Okay. Only a day or two in Katy, right? But at the end of the day, man, listen, it's just, and I am most proud of my upbringing because it gives me the opportunity, man, to converse on all levels. I've had the opportunity to sit with presidents, right? This kid from Fifth Ward. I've had the opportunity to sit with presidents of the United States, right? And so at the end of the day, man, again, I couldn't be more proud of my Houston heritage, my Fifth Ward, Acres Home, Third Ward heritage, because it has given me tools. It has given me the ability to be able to sit in these seats as well with a whole lot of understanding and compassion for those people who may come from those same kinds of environments.
Coach, I'm gonna pivot a little bit, and because one reason why I started this show was that one, Black coaches don't get to post and to talk about who you are. Now we know who Van Malone is. And you can add, 95% of the athletic directors in Division 1A or 1AA is Caucasian, ain't no question. But anytime that our brothers get a head job on there, and I've, coached at University of Cincinnati, is it because when they hire their staff, there's always one brother on one side? You know the deal, Vance, or two on this side. Why is it never
It sounds like
coaches
he. Oh, okay.
that I could get. And, you know, Vance, through all these years, all now I've been around 40 years, that guys don't bring somebody with them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I mean,
Right.
you know, you coach Division 1A, you mentor Tremaine and a couple more. Why you think that? You know, because not only, you know, I have my own opinion, but you know, our audience is actually looking at it.
No, that ain't you, Coach. That's Coach Cole. That new
Yeah.
house.
No.
I wonder, has he got his internet installed yet over
Hey,
there?
hey, he got what he got? Boost Mobile over there. He got Boost Mobile.
But,
Now we
but
getting a circle.
I think what he was saying is, what's been the challenges of coaches who are on the other side of the tracks?
Yeah.
What are the challenges of those coaches bringing other coaches, letting them get the opportunity to coach on the other side of the tracks? Because at the end of the day, don't like you admitted, Coach, there's a certain economic advantage of being over there, and some of these guys on this side of the tracks are qualified, skilled enough, and they work hard enough and deserve an opportunity over there. What can be done to allow for more guys that work in? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, Coach, coming over here, you get the label of HBCU coach, and with that label, what does that mean, Campbell? Historically,
Well, here's the thing. I don't consider it a negative connotation, and I think what it is, because again, it's not hurt Willie Simmons. You know what I'm saying? It didn't hurt Willie Jeffries. You know what I'm saying? You know, I think in this era, and Coach knows this. If you can, and see this as a black coach, as you know, coaching is coaching. And the thing what as a black coach has been hurt is that people try to put a label on you. Is that you're a black coach, not just a great defensive back coach, not a great defensive coach, not a great passing game coordinator, things that you've done over your years and things like that. So I would say what coach is to me, and I tell you what, coach is back. So Coach, go ahead and finish up what you were about to ask Van.
No, I'm sorry. No, and I was just, you know, Vance, you've been there, you've seen it like I've seen it, the unfairness of the treatment of some black coaches, and then sometimes we mistreat ourselves. To me, when we do get those positions, and then you look in the room and you still see guys that's not you know, not look like us. And also, Vance, also happens in the HBCU realm when guys get jobs. The two top positions, the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, don't look like us. What is your take on that? You know, my take is I don't think it's fair that we don't get those opportunities. I know it's deeper than just that. I know it's political. I know it comes down to financing as well. What is your take, and how have you dealt with it over the years on making your mark, and then finally, like, boom, you know, shit, I'm ready to be a head coach. Now I'm coming. Because I'm gonna tell you too, Vance, I don't mean to make it long. You know, I know guys that actually graduated from black colleges. You know, I know you, I know what type of guy you are. You know, feel a little slighted. You know what I'm saying? That we've chose to go to these schools, we play these schools. What do you say to them, as well as, you know, just the overall take of it? And I'll turn it over to you.
All right. I think, you know, let me just reel it all back in here. Is that first of all, man, I'm gonna do everything I can as a coach to further people who look like me, because I understand what they go through, right? And so I'm gonna do everything I can. You use the term to bring as many as I can with me. I have a young. I always start in the young group, right? I have young coaches that I was able to place with coaches, and I have a young dude who I placed somewhere, and I watched him bounce and move. Now that young dude is coaching at Notre Dame, right? And so even talk about Tremaine, you know what I mean? To watch it. I took Tremaine to his first AFCA convention. I took him to his first coaches convention, and boom, now that dude is the head coach somewhere. So I'm always in my small way, I'm always working to try to push dudes ahead. So to coach, you said, what about those coaches who get there and they don't do that, right? Well, man, I don't know why. You know what I mean? I don't know why, because I know what my purpose is. So I'm not going to criticize somebody for not, but I know what my purpose is. And I can say what my opinion, just like Coach, you said, my opinion is that it's very hard. So when you walk through the door, the people tell you who they kind of want you to hire. When you walk through the door, or before you even get in the door, they listening to who you're gonna hire. And it better be somebody who is appealing. It better be to somebody who has the name. It better be somebody. And I'm talking about the schools on the other side of the tracks, right? It better help us win this press conference, because we're not gonna be able to go for you just getting your homeboy, right? And so us as coaches on the other side of the track, because on the other side of the track, man, it ain't a lot of us, right? So when you talk about your homeboys in coaching on the other side of the track, most times your homeboys in coaching, they don't look like you, because the people in the staff room, generally, not all of them look like you. So you end up developing relationships. You end up having strong respect for people in the football game who may not look like you. And that's okay, right? Because we're looking for coaches, right? We're looking for coaches. I have just in my career been intentional about, yes, having relationships right in the staff rooms that I'm with that might not look like me, but also intentional about making sure that I'm over here in this other area as well with the people who do look like me, making sure that I'm refining the talent, making sure that I'm discovering the talent in areas where they do look like me, right? And so when there's, and honestly, I get all kinds of calls for, you got a young minority defensive back coach, you got a young minority wide receiver coach, you got a young minority. And so when I get in the situations where I can speak, then I say, hey, coaches, I also got some young quarterback coaches. I also got some young minority offensive line coaches. I also got some young offensive coordinators, some young defensive coordinators. I also got some guys with that kind of potential too. So it's my job. I don't know what somebody else is doing or not doing. It's my job, my purpose to make sure, man, that I'm pushing my narrative, right? That I'm pushing to make sure we all have respect for our ability to call plays. And I say this to us. We got to make sure we are the most ardent supporters of us, right? Tremaine Jackson, I'm his #1 fan. Deion Sanders, I'm his #1 fan. I have to be their #1 fan. Guess what? If they do something I don't like, you won't hear it in social media. If they do something I don't like, they gonna hear it from me. If they do something that I think as an older coach that might not be jacked up, that I don't disagree with, I have a relationship well enough that I'm gonna talk to them. But that out in public, they gonna get my full support because they have enough people pulling and pushing against them, right? In public, we have to be the firmest supporters of them because there are people who support their people when they're not always about right.
Coach, you bring up somebody that I usually bring up on the show, and since you brought up his name, I'll go ahead and expound on it. And Mr. Campbell knew it. And because I think his impact in the HBCU space was profound, right? And I'm talking about Coach Sanders, Coach Prime. His impact was profound, not just in wins and losses, but letting everybody in the culture know that HBCUs are something special, right? I'll just ask you this. When Coach Sanders took the job at Jackson State, what did you think of that move, and what do you think he's done with his career since then?
Yeah, I was excited for him, right? Again, because of the fact that, again, here's a man. I'm not talking about his playing career. Here's a man who is a coach. He's coaching on the high school rank, in the high school ranks, and he gets an opportunity to coach on the college ranks. Man, I'm as excited as I could be for him. Just as I've walked through this door without having experience coaching on the college ranks, he didn't have that experience, but he had unbelievable, and he still does had unbelievable experience with the narrative, right? He has unbelievable experience with communicating with players, with coaching players, with getting into the hearts and the minds of these players. And he still has shown that, right? And so, man, that's what coaching is, right? The schemes, there's 11 of them out there at the same time. You got 11 on offense, 11 on defense, and you can align them a whole lot of different ways. But at the end of the day, it's not what you know. It's what you can get these young people to execute at a very high level, right? So having the ability to be able to get into their minds, develop them, teach them these schemes that we draw up all day and night, right? There are some coaches out there, they can draw schemes, they can draw blitzes from sun up to sundown, but they can't get the kids to do it. They can't get the kids to execute it. They can't get the kids to do it with the passion that it takes to be successful on whatever level it might be, right? People like Deion Sanders, people like Tremaine Jackson, people like Johnnie Cole, they have that ability to be able to get into these young people's hearts and minds. And that's why those kinds of people, they coach for a lot of years. They may not get the credit, right? They may not get what you call the guru status. They may not get that. But I bet you every player who played for him, every player who had a relationship, been around him, they will all testify to that coach.
Hey, Coach, I just think that Coach Prime coming on the HBCU level opened up the hearts and minds of people who were not looking at HBCUs as a possible landing spot, but he gave guys like, whether it be Mike Vick or Deshaun Jackson or Marshall Faulk, whoever it may be, the idea that they too could coach on that level and make an impact. And Coach, let's be honest. When they write your story at Hampton, when you win all those championships, they're gonna say former NFL coach, former NFL player, turned head coach at HBCU coach. That's what they're gonna say. And you fall in that category as a former NFL player.
And guess what? Like I said, it's about the narrative, right? It's about the narrative. Like at some point, people didn't wear quarter zip jackets. They didn't wear them, right? Everything you ever heard about a quarter zip, that was foolish to wear a quarter zip. That was tacky to wear a quarter zip. Oh, only clowns wear a quarter zip. And then there'll be another time in history where the quarter zip is the greatest thing ever. You know what I'm saying? A couple of players coming here the other day to talk to me, and they were wearing their slides with socks. So back in the day, when you wore slides with socks, you were somebody's daddy. But now, today, that's the coolest thing out there, right? To wear your slides with socks. You want to be somebody's daddy at 17, 18, these players. So it's about the narrative, right? And so, man, listen, this is the greatest level of football.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.